So I think we are now live. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever or whenever you're watching this around the world. Welcome everyone for round number 8 of the Gavra Racing GT7 League Season 1 here at Tokyo Expressway. And well, I mean, prepare yourselves guys, because we're in for a good race. Once again, I'm on the grid and will probably remain so for the rest of the season. So if you're watching this back either on Twitch or YouTube, feel free just to skip a couple of minutes in to, if you want to start of the race, and that'll be a couple of minutes, because I will be going through the championship standings and the qualifying results during this part of the stream for a couple of minutes whilst we let a load of people filter in. Quickly, like usual, I'll be doing my audio test just to make sure everything's all up and running. So yeah, just bear with me for 2 seconds. Okay, I think it should be working. Please let me know in the chat if it's not. Obviously, you won't be able to. If you can't hear me, then you won't be able to let me know. But if you can hear me and it sounds a bit dodgy, then please let me know. That it's kind of like asking someone if they're asleep. If they are asleep, they're not going to reply, but they could also be faking that. Anyway, we shouldn't be talking about people sleeping, because this is a stream about racing. Let's go through the championship before we get into qualifying. So going into this race, if only I had the championship standings up ready, we would be able to swiftly go into the standings. Unfortunately, I do not. Here we go. Tuesday, starting this race in second place, I think. Or fourth. Second or fourth. Bear with me. We'll get to qualifying in a second. But Tuesday leads the way in the championship standings going into this race. He has a 14-point gap to Finn in second place. Tim in third. Starts this race on pole position. We've got Bonnie in fourth. Pierre in fifth, rounding out the top five. Pierre rounding out top five on 100 points exactly going into this race. Then from 6th down to 20th, we've got Tiger Assassin, Dan Schneider, Cameron Kaboom, Play Dutchy, Endy rounding out the top 10, Costa, Legion, Ted, myself, All-Star, Stan, Tobster, Wolfie, Nathaniel and the Scout Dan. Those are all the drivers that we have had enter a race this season, some as reserves, some who have had to drop out for personal reasons, or personal reasons. Either they can't make it no more on a Friday evening, or other personal reasons. Let's have a look at the constructors, or the team standings going into this race. It is Tim, Boneville and Tobster. Technically Tobster is still a part of that team, contributing 10 points from the opening race in the Nürburgring. They lead on 267 points, and it's Team Tiger and Toussaint, BCR, in second on 244. FGR, or Red Bull, who have had Finn, Costa, Stan and All-Star, Stan and All-Star replacing Costa for 2 races individually from when they were absent. They're on 202 points, so there's only 65 points separating the top 3 in the team's championships going into this race. Unfortunately, however, Finn is without a teammate, what looks like for the rest of the season, so he's going to have to get a few wins and fastest laps to his name if he's to get that team back to the top. In fourth place, we've got Pierre and Cameron Kaboom. Unfortunately, Mr. Kaboom couldn't be here for tonight, but they're on 103 points. Then a newly formed team, which started not last week, but the week before in Deep Forest Raceway. Myself and Dan Schneider, we're on 63 points, doing pretty well after 2 races, I have to say. Although there is definitely probably a favoured driver in terms of the points so far, but you know, we're working on it. Then we go Wolfie and Ted in 6th, ND and Scout, the Scout down in 7th, and TCR Legion in 8th. His teammate yet to start a race this season. Whether he will start a race, I'm not too sure. We'll find out. We've only got 4 races to go. Tokyo Expressway is one of them, and that's what we are doing now. But before we do the race, we have to go through the qualifying results. Obviously, qualifying, setting the grid for the race, and it is... Oh, I forgot to do the camera. It is Tim on pole position. He lines up on the front row of the grid after setting a 1 minute 53.0 in qualifying. Pole, though, might not be the best place to start, because if we turn the camera around, you can't even see turn 1. That's how long the start-finish straight is, but we'll get onto that in a second. Speaking of a second, in second place it is Toussaint, who was 2 tenths off Tim, starts on the front row of the grid. We've got Piero in the McLaren lining up in 3rd place ahead of the other Mercedes of Tiger Assassin in 4th. Dan Schneider in 5th place for the Mercedes, starts alongside Finn in the Mustang in 6th. Myself, Bexnatic G in the BMW, starts in 7th place alongside Bonneville in the Genesis in 8th. And it is an Irish back row of Ted in the Subaru and Wolfie in the Ford GT. It's a beautiful and fast car, could do well at the circuit, and those are the 10 drivers that line up on the grid for tonight's race. It's going to be a good one. We'll give it 10 more seconds for drivers to get in, and also I'm just going to have a quick sip of some Ribena before we get this one started. I've got 2 drinks with me tonight. I've got some Ribena and some healthy water. Stay healthy, ladies and gentlemen. So, excuse me for just 2 seconds. Okay, now that the drink has been drunk, we can leave the photo cam and we can get into racing. Hello and welcome everyone. You are joining us for what is going to be a really excited race. Do not leave us. We've got 28 laps. I haven't started the race, but we'll go on to that in 2 seconds. But now it's time for the Japanese Grand Prix. We're here in Japan for round number 8 of the GT7 League. Here in Tokyo, it's a 7.2 kilometre circuit length, 5 red lights for 28 laps, and it's lights out, and away we go. Tim leads the field away from pole position, followed by Toussaint in 2nd place. All the drivers tucking into a single file trade in the run down towards turn 1. The straight, I don't know how long it is exactly, I haven't got that stat written down for tonight's race, but it is quite long. I think it's longer than the back straight in China. Tim leads the field away from pole position, but he's got Piero on the inside, Toussaint on the inside of him as well. Tiger launching one to the inside, 4 wide, going in towards turn 1. Dan Schneider trying to go round the outside of the 3 Mercedes. There's contact between Finn and Piero in the midfield as Finn drops down into 6th place, side by side with the McLaren in the background. We've got Natty and Bonneville going side by side as Ted and Wolfie bring up the rear of the field, but Tim leads the field away up the hill in towards turn 3, the right-hander, which has been made slightly tighter on this game. Meanwhile, cars in the midfield getting a little bit caught up on each other. Piero down to 5th place, Dan Schneider up into 4th. There's a Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4 in a car that could do pretty well at such a high-speed circuit. Meanwhile, the BMW and the Mustang, Finn and Natty going side by side in their battle for 6th place, and it looks like the Mustang, the German driver Finn, able to maintain and hold that position as it's the 4GT of Wolfie who brings out the grid in 10th position. But it's a long race, 28 laps, where the winner may not be decided on raw pace alone. We'll have to wait and see how this race unfolds, because honestly, any one of these 10 drivers are in with a chance of winning this race. But it's Tim over Tiger over Toussaint are your top 3 drivers in the race thus far. Looks like the Mustang Finn trying to send one to the inside of Piero going in towards the final 2 corners. Turn 12 and turn 13. This track made up of 13 corners with 5 sectors, surprisingly. As they make their way through sector 4, the wind speed 2.6 metres per second. It's a tailwind down towards turn 1, so drivers will be hitting a lot of high speeds as a driver who will be hitting a lot of high speeds in this race, Wolfie, as he gets ahead of Ted. The 4GT car with such power down the straights. The Mustang pulls over to the left-hand side of the circuit alongside the McLaren. Does it have the right enough speed to get ahead? He's not in the slipstream of anyone. Tucks back in behind for now as the drivers filter their way down the back, the start-finish straight in towards turn 1. Tim going defensive. Dan Schneider to the inside of a couple of cars. Can he get his way to the inside of Toussaint? Not on this occasion. Tiger Assassin, they're going to go wheel to on the exit. Finn on wheel to wheel with Piero, the Mustang and the McLaren going side by side. The German now ahead of the Frenchman as the 2 cars, Natty and Bonnie, just tucking behind, not gaining any positions this time round, but Ted and Wolfie starting to drop off a little bit. It looks like Ted's got back ahead of his fellow Irish companion, but they're about a second behind the slipstream train. Might need to burn a little bit of fuel to catch back up. The strategy here is an interesting one because it could be a simple one-stop from mediums to hards, or maybe even mediums to softs if they can nurse the tyres to the designated laps and also save a bit of fuel to get the medium tyres to go the distance they need to go. The average fuel consumption around the circuit is about, I have absolutely no idea, but what I wanted to say was the average litre these cars hold is about 16, 17 no, sorry, 15, 16 laps these cars roughly hold at this particular track. So if they can save a little bit of fuel and take the medium tyres the distance, they could have a decent strategy under their belt. Looks like Finn trying to work his way towards the around the outside of Toussaint. It looks like Pierre might have hit the wall quite heavily, but he didn't get any damage. Thankfully for him, a little power slide from the BMW, almost like a tradition at this phase of the season. It looks like Ted and Wolfie have caught back up to the train, which, well, its next stop, turn 1, a key overtaking opportunity, the best place to make an overtake at this circuit, the hairpin of turn 1, where drivers enter it of speeds of about 173 miles per hour. But if you add slipstream and a bump draft, well, I mean, we're hitting 180 in the midfield between Toussaint and Dan Schneider, as Finn's going to have another look on Piero, but he can't quite get the move done. As soon as he pulls out of the slipstream, he is mudded. Here goes Natty now to the outside as Finn's kind of fourth defensive. Meanwhile, Toussaint to the inside of Dan Schneider. Finn to the inside of Toussaint. Tiger's gone a little bit wide. The BMW Natty might try and find a way through. His cars are absolutely everywhere. Close, compact racing. You love to see it. It's all clean and fair for now. Can the drivers maintain that throughout this race? It's really going to be a tightly compact race with a lot of drivers and a lot of cars taking up not a lot of part of the circuit. So keeping it clean is definitely going to be a huge challenge, but we have faith in these drivers, which is why I decided to put this track on the calendar, because it can promote a lot of overtaking and different strategies. Do you want to be at the front? And well, I mean, I think we should all take a moment to actually, I'm not gonna say what I was going to say, but it looks like someone might have gone a little bit deep in towards the left-right chicane of turn 8 and 9, a corner where you can lose so much speed if you get it wrong. If you hit the inside barrier, you will be thrown out to the outside barrier, putting yourself at risk of double damage. Piero trying to put the pressure on Finn as they go up the little hill in towards the final 2 corners. Dan Schneider's going for it on Tiger Assassin. Finn's going for it on Toussaint. Side by side, 2 by 2 through the final 2 corners of turn 12 and turn 13. The Mustang and the Mercedes still wheel to wheel on the exit of the corner as Toussaint's dropped down to 5th place. Piero maintaining 6th position for now, but Finn is on a charge here. He's now up into 4th place, but still going side by side with Tiger Assassin in the Mercedes. It looks like the Genesis pulling out alongside the BMW in the battle for 7th place. That's Bon Evil trying to go for a move on next strategy as Finn drops down to 5th place as he's been forced out of the slipstream train, but he's trying to get back in it as he tucks behind the McLaren of Piero, who's now up into 5th place. These drivers working together to try and save some fuel and work their way up through the grid, as it looks like a little bit of contact, a little bit of a bump drop that's not gone to plan for Piero. He now loses the position to Finn as they make their way now down in towards turn 1 for the 4th time this race. The wind speed picking up a little bit to 3 metres per second. They're 3 wide going in towards turn 1. Piero on the inside of a couple of cars. He's gone from 6th to 4th with a double overtake down in towards turn 1, still wheel to wheel with Toussaint on the exit of the corner. Does he get left enough room? Indeed he does, but I think he's going to tuck back in the Mercedes for now as he well, he's got one move. Let's not get too greedy. It's only lap 4 of 28. He's still got 25 laps to go in this race, and the racing is not done and will never be done. It's a track that never sleeps. It's kind of like the city of New York. Tim, though, leading 3/10 up on his personal best, but lap times will drastically change with the slipstream and the fuel saving throughout this race. A lot of drivers opting for a one-stop, I believe. Fuel saving is key. Tyre conservation is key to make the strategy work. Looks like a few drivers possibly tripping up on each other in the midfield. You can see how closely compact the entire grid is. Still, we're on lap 4. I know it's only lap 4, but the top 10 separated by about 3 seconds. Here goes Finn, trying for it once again on Piero up the hill in towards the final corner. He's going to go for it on Toussaint as well. Not on this occasion, breaks a little bit early, but gets the move done on Piero. Meanwhile, Toussaint trying to get past his teammate Tiger Assassin possibly through the final corner. He's lost a little bit of time to Dan Schneider, but with a bump draft you can easily make it up. In the slipstream, if you're unfamiliar with what the bump draft and slipstreaming will do, well, let's take Tiger, Toussaint and Finn for an example. Tiger doesn't have the slipstream of the car in front, will lose time. Toussaint does have the slipstream of Tiger Assassin, so he uses the extra speed to give Tiger the extra speed by giving him a little bit of a bump to the rear of his car, hence the name bump draft. But then there's the Constantino effect, because Finn's also in the slipstream, so he's going to give Toussaint a bump draft, give Toussaint more speed. Although on this occasion, Finn's not going to give Toussaint any more speed, because he's pulling over to the left-hand side of the circuit, which will be the outside line for turn 1. A few drivers going defensive, the two Mercedes on the defensive, possibly on the attack, as it looks like a little bit of a nudge from Piero might have just hindered his run a little bit, as it looks like Finn's going to swoop his way around the outside. The two Mercedes are Dan Schneider and Toussaint going side by side. The BWT getting ahead of the BCR car. Dan now up into third place. We've got 3 different nations in the top 3, but 4 the same manufacturer inside the top 4. The Mercedes appears to be the dominant car at this circuit. It is a circuit where straight line speed and rear downforce is pretty much a key factor to success at this circuit. If you're basing it off individual lap time, although good turning is particularly good for this middle sector. Cars going absolutely everywhere. Looks like Finn's trying to go for it on the inside of Toussaint, side by side through the fast left-right chicane of turn 8 and turn 9. Piero on the outside. Can he make this one stick? The McLaren and the Mustang going side by side as the Genesis of Bon Evil now getting involved in promoting himself up in towards 6th place, but kind of been hung out to dry with the momentum he got through turn 9. Couldn't go anywhere apart from into the back of Finn, giving him a little bit of a boost to try maybe warrant a move to the inside of Toussaint. Not on this occasion though. The Mustang stays behind for now. The Genesis have been Bon Evil up into 6th place. Piero now drops to 7th place. Natty, Ted, Wolfie all maintaining 8th, 9th and 10th respectively, running their individual races. Sometimes it's good just to sit back and watch the action unfold. Toussaint now gets his way back up ahead of Dan Schneider in this race, as looks like Finn might try and go for it on the Mercedes as well. Tim with a decent lead in this race, possibly trying to pull away, but it's almost impossible to pull away with the bump draft in the slipstream and the overspeed from the drivers behind. Finn now going for a move on the BCR Mercedes cars in front. Are they going to go 3 wide once again in towards turn 1? Not in this occasion. Piero now to the inside of Toussaint, left 3 wide on the exit of turn 1. Looks like a little bit of contact between, I think it's the Genesis and the Mustang. 3 wide on the exit of the corner between the Mercedes and McLaren and the Genesis. Bon Evil ahead now of Piero up into 5th place. Toussaint drops to 7th place, and the BMW of Natty, the Subaru of Ted getting involved in this battle as well. Toussaint's going to look for a move. Natty trying to go around the outside, poking his headlights right peering off the racing line. Looks like Finn with possibly damage, or he's trying to go for a move to the outside of turn 6. Just tucks back into the slipstream for now, but look at the gap that's opened up between 3rd and 2nd place. The front 2 have started to pull a bit of a gap to the chasing pack behind. Lap 6 of 28, and the action is certainly not stopped, and it will not stop. It's like a fire that's gone out of control. It will keep burning and burning as long as it's got fuel, and this race has got plenty of fuel. Something that don't have a lot of fuel are the drivers. Bon Evil hitting the wall on the outside of turn 9 has cost them not 1, not 2, but 3 positions to the BMW, the Mercedes and the McLaren. From 5th to 8th, not the best. Sorry, a mistake costing him dearly at the opening few laps of the race, but it doesn't take much to work your way back through the field and get closer to the cars in front. The gap's beginning to open up a little bit, but I'm sure they will close down quite at a significant rate. Tiger just trailing from Tim in this race. The gap about 1.5 seconds, with the Mercedes of Dan Schneider being aided with a bump draft of Finn doing 186 miles per hour in the Ford Mustang, and that's the effect of slipstream and a bump draft. Look at Dan Schneider's speed. It also doesn't help that the ping-pong crash physics that give you the extra speed. Tiger defensive to the inside of turn 1 as Dan Schneider tries to work his way around the outside as they approach the heavy braking zone at about 180 miles per hour, braking at the 150 metre board. Piero staying ahead of Toussaint. Natty going purple through the first sectors. He's ahead of Bon Evil in this race, running 7th place for now. Piero in 5th ahead of Piero as Finn and Dan Schneider go wheel to wheel, side by side with the fast 90-degree right-hander of turn 3, which swoops into a left-hander of turn 4, and Finn with a beautifully executed move makes his way up into a podium position in towards 3rd place, puts his head Mustang ahead of the Mercedes cars that trail him behind. He's got a Mercedes in front, he's got 2 Mercedes behind, but he's also got a McLaren separating Dan Schneider and Toussaint. The McLaren's not the fastest car in the straight line, but it's got good cornering speed, which gives Piero an advantage through this middle part of the lap, the middle sector, sectors 2, 3 and the first half of sector 4, although sector 4 does require a lot of straight line speed because it's technically flat out in one braking zone, which they're approaching now. Turn number 12, an uphill left-hander, braking up just after the 100 metre board, about 90, 85 metres is where you want to be braking for that corner. Tim starting to pull away a little bit, but he's not going to have the advantage, the comfort of being able to run away with this race as you might do at another track like Suzuka or Spain. The car's racing towards turn 1 now and approach it at about 30 seconds time, which is the length of the start-finish straight here at Tokyo Expressway. It's the East counterclockwise variation. We're not running the one we ran in the mini-season where it's flipped and reversed. The hairpin is now turn 1 as opposed to the final corner, and vice versa. The final corner is now, sorry, the old turn 1 is now the final corner. Both variations produce great overtaking. The spin now goes down the insider. Tim there 2x2x2. Dan on the insider, 2 St. Tiger on the insider. Piero, the 2 Mercedes, getting a little bit caught up. Wheel banging between a few drivers. Piero and Natty going side by side. The BMW and the McLaren making a little bit of contact as Piero slots into 6th place. Tiger now down to 4th. Tim down to 2nd. The spin now takes the lead of the race. He's on an aggressive strategy compared to other drivers. Look at the fuel load between a lot of drivers. Looks like Bon Evil, ex-Natty G and 2 Saint, they have a lot of fuel in comparison to the other drivers around them. Finn doesn't look like he's in the mood to do any fuel saving today, going for an aggressive strategy, which is a strategy we've seen the FTR drivers do in the past, most notably Manuel in the Group 4 race in Willow Springs from Season 4. A great strategy. Tim hitting the wall on the exit of turn 9, not necessarily the best strategy either for him. Let's ride on board with the Mercedes, the rear wing camera shot of all the cars that chase behind the headlights on the front of the car. There's quite a lot of them behind the Mercedes. There's 2 more behind the Mustang of Finn, who leads this race as we're about to finish lap 8 of 28 and start lap number 9. We've still got plenty of racing laps here at Tokyo Expressway, and I'm just going to have a quick drink to clear my throat. Something that we could get quite used to seeing in this race. A bump draft towards turn 1. Finn's into the pits. Finn pulls the trigger really early. It's only lap number 8 and his tyres aren't even 50, maybe even 40% worn, but the Mustang pulls into the pitch, which gives Tim the lead of the race back. Once again ahead of Dan Schneider, over Tiger in 3rd place, 2 Saint in 4th, Pierre in 5th, Nat in 6th and Bon Evil in 7th. The 7 cars that are still in this slipstream train that goes in towards turn 1. Tiger running a little bit wide, sorry, that's not Tiger, it's 2 Saint running a little bit wide, opens the door for Piero on the inside. The McLaren and the Mercedes now go side by side, but it is Piero who just backs off and tucks into the slipstream of 2 Saint once again. And can I do this without braking? I'm actually going to get the names over the cars rather than the car names. I thought it'd be a good idea, but now I'm getting confused, especially as drivers are running, such as Tiger and 2 Saint, 2 teammates running the same livery. I'm not willing to spend too much time looking for their numbers or names on the car to distinguish between the two, and we can't exactly see their helmets from the spectator cam. We can ride on board to get a close-up of the custom-made. You know what, we'll get a kind of close-up of a custom-made of 2 Saint's helmet, although it is slightly dark in the cockpit of the Mercedes, so we can't quite see the helmet design. He is running for this race. Actually, if we do, no, we can't do that. I missed the keyboard. Moving on from the helmet situation, Tim leading this race, the Flying Finn flying in towards the final corner with Dan Schneider behind him. A little bit of a Constantina bump draft going into that corner. Probably not the best place to be bump drafting. A little bit of contact between the Mercedes drivers. But thankfully no one in the wall and no one with damage. The train now, well, you can see how many cars are ahead of Bon Evil, who's just at the back of this train, the 4GT and the Subaru. So it looks like Ted's got damage and has just pulled into the pits. Finn with a penalty, probably for crossing the orange line or entrance or entry. Pierre saying it's a strange race, he never done a lap of fuel saving. I didn't quite see the end of the message. But yeah, some drivers didn't fuel save as much as others and still had a bit of fuel left in the car, although we can see in the bottom left as we flick through some drivers, the fuel loads on the drivers in this after lap 10. We've got Dan Schneider defending from Tiger Assassin, who's left the door open for his teammate Toussaint to slip one down the inside. A little bit of contact between the two teammates as they go wheel to wheel, door to door on the exit of turn 1 and the run up towards turn 2. A little bit of contact. Tiger might have just pushed Toussaint a little bit into the barrier. No damage done to either car. They haven't lost a lot of time either to the cars in front. Dan Schneider, Tim, your top two, both Mercedes. There's still a Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4, although the order seems to change every lap by which they possess the grid order. Piero in 5th place. He's worked his way up a couple of positions. He's been all over the place, Piero. He's been in the top 3 and he's also been in the bottom half of the grid, as is the excitement and the drama of this race. We've got Matty and Bonnie Evil in 6th and 7th place. They've moved up a couple of positions from the start of this race as well. Tiger and Toussaint, 3rd and 4th place. Probably want to work together a little bit just to close down that little bit of a gap, and it might look like it's only a 5/10 gap. But you can easily be hung out to dry at this circuit, especially if you're trying to save fuel to make the one-stop work. And just as a reminder to drivers, to spectators who have never seen this season before or know what the ideal strategies are, drivers have more than half a tank of fuel in their car. So in theory, they do not need to fuel save to get to the end of the race. They can put it in fuel mode 1 for the entirety of this race and still make it to the end. They just have to fuel, so they do have to put in fuel. They don't have enough to go to the end. They just have to put a little bit of fuel in the car at either pit stop. If they make a 1 stop, they'll have to put in fuel. If they have to 2 stop, then they only need to put in fuel in 1 of the stops. These drivers have 16, I think, laps of fuel in the car, which leaves them 12 for the second half of the race, assuming they take the tyres to the fuel. But Finn, not fuel saving. Tim, not fuel saving. You can see the fuel differences between a lot of the drivers. No one is being forced to fuel stop in this race in theory. They can easily make a 1-stop work without having to fuel save. Also, Tokyo Expressway, it's a track that's not really demanding on the tyres, and we haven't changed the tyre settings or the fuel consumptions in this race, but we are seeing the 1-stop being in effect this week. Last week in Dragon Trail Seaside, if you remember, we had drivers doing a 3-stop, as was the extent of the tyre wear. That just goes to show the different natures of the circuit, the elevation change, the different types of corners, how much of an effect they can play in the strategy. Here we're seeing fuel saving and tyre conservation and a 1-stop. Last week we saw aggressive 3-stop strategies. Personally myself, done a medium, soft, soft, soft. I think Cameron, Kaboom and Bon Evil, they went medium, medium, soft, soft. Others went for a medium, medium, soft, but that involved a little bit of tyre conservation and maybe doing a lap very close to the punctured territory. Meanwhile, this race, the lead of the race is changing once again. Dan Schneider now inherits the lead of the race. He's up into 1st place for the first time in this race. Tim now gets dropped to 2nd ahead of Tiger and Toussaint, who continue to stay in 3rd and 4th place. I don't think they've changed positions since lap 9, and we're on lap number 11, and it's only 2 laps after Tiger got ahead of his teammate down in towards turn 1. The top 7 still closely compact to one another. Dan Schneider is the leading Mercedes, ahead of the 3 Mercedes that are in hot pursuit behind. Tim, does he go for a move? It's risky going for a move. It really, if you pull over and out of the slipstream, your only hope of getting the move done is if the car behind you goes to aid you and gives you the bump draft. But this is the bump draft in effect we were talking about at the start of the race, because if you go for a move here, you're only going to get overtaken by the time you get to turn 1. You'll lose the momentum, you'll lose the straight line speed. Now if you go for a move is when you want to pull out. Looks like there's contact. Tiger might have hit the back of Tim. He's hit the back of Dan Schneider, who goes on at turn 1, over through the cones and over the advertising board, and he goes wide. Gets a good run consequently on the exit of turn 1, which keeps him ahead of Piero, and indeed actually goes purple through sector 1, so that was Piero going purple through the first sector. But Dan Schneider from 1st to 4th, a little bit of contact from turn 1 has cost him a few positions. Pierre in the chat saying fuel isn't correct in the game. I put 10 laps in the pit stop and it was only 8 laps in reality low. I guess, I don't know why I read the lull, but at the end that was unnecessary for me. I didn't need to read the lull because I could already tell it was a comment. But it's interesting, the fuel, because I put in 11 laps of fuel on lap 17, and then I realised the mistake because I looked at the top left, and because when you pit you cross the line technically, I read 18, so I put 11 laps of fuel, but technically I pitted on the end of lap 17, So I underfueled by a lap. Now I always say you put in an extra lap as Toussaint gets ahead of Tiger Assassin. The two Mercedes swap positions as Tiger now filters behind his teammate. Toussaint is now the attacking threat for the race lead. Tim now takes the lead of the race once again after the collision down in towards turn 1, but we've had Tim lead, we've had Dan lead, we've had Finn lead, I think we've had Toussaint and Tiger lead the race, and here we go. Toussaint's going for it on the inside and outside of Tim, who tucks back into the slipstream. It looks like Tim might have just lift off the throttle a little bit just so he could slot back into the gap between the two Mercedes drivers, and now he, if he wanted to, could save a little bit of fuel. I've completely forgotten what I was talking about earlier. Tiger now going for it on the outside of Tim, who's lost 2 positions in about 20 seconds. But it's now the BCR Mercedes cars that are 1 and 2 in this race, but it's still a Mercedes 1, 2, 3 and 4. No matter how many overtakes we get for the top half, for the lead of the race, it still seems to be the Mercedes that leads the way. Its straight line speed and rear grip really gives it a good advantage at a circuit such as Tokyo Expressway, where you need the rear grip to get a good exit on the exit of turn 1 and turn 13. It's also got good downforce to make it through the technical middle sector of sector 2 and sector 3. Nearly at the halfway phase in this race. So yeah, going back to the fuel situation, the way I do the fuel, the strategy for this game is basically what you want to do is you want to take the number of laps in the race, subtract it from the lap you're on, and then add 2. 1 for the fastest lap and then 1 for security, just in case you burn a little bit too much or a little bit more fuel than anticipated. For a track like Tokyo, where you're revving the engine a lot, it's not surprising that fuel consumption would be excessively high. We've got Ted in 10th place behind Finn in 9th place. Our drivers locked to cars for the season, or can they choose which car? Is a comment we've just received in the chat. Apologies, I couldn't see the name, I just read the comment, it just popped up on the screen then disappeared in a second. Drivers are locked in for their car dependent on what they choose and what they enter the race in round 1. And a season or a calendar that has been made for a mix of technical circuits and power circuits such as this one, it really, you really get, you have to ask yourself the question, what position do I want to put myself in? Do I go for a car such as the Ford GT, the McLaren F1, 2 cars that are rapid in a straight line but will struggle at the tracks we've been to, such as Spain, Catalonia, a technical circuit where that car will struggle. Whereas if you pick the Porsche, you'd do really well at the tracks such as Spain, and I can't think of other tracks we've been to. Where have we been? The Nürburgring. You do well at the Nürburgring, but you'll struggle at a track like Monza, Austria. There's contact! The 2 Mercedes have made contact. Tiger and Toussaint contact into turn 1. Looks like Tiger hit the back of his teammate going in towards the apex of turn 1. It's not the first to these drivers, not the first time they've collided, the first time they've hit each other this season. Tiger inherits the lead of the race, but contact between him and his teammates demoted him down to 4th place as he swoops around the outside of Piero back up into 4th place. It's still a Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4, but the order has changed once again, and that is another twist in the tail. That is what makes this championship so entertaining, so interesting. It's a script you can't write from the beginning. You have absolutely no idea who's going to win this race, or indeed the championship, before the 5 red lights go out. Apologies we didn't get to finish exactly the comment that was made earlier in the chat, but yes, drivers are locked from their car choice, so they do have to pick a car that they think will be the best not at one individual race, but the calendar as a whole. And it's nice to see we've got a nice diverse grid in tonight's throughout the season. We've got a few Mercedes. The Mercedes is the most popular car choice this season, but we've got Piero in the McLaren, myself, Natty in the BMW, we've got Bon even in the Genesis, Finn in the Mustang, all of his teammates have been in the Mustang. We've got Wolfie in the Ford GT, we've got Ted in the Subaru, we've got other drivers who aren't here tonight who've opted for the Porsche. We've got a Nissan that's on the grid, we've got ND in the Nissan GTR from 2013. And I think that is all the different cars. We've got a nice variety of car choices this season to enjoy. But yes, I have actually contemplated of bringing like a wild card into the season where drivers can change their car for a race. but that is not implemented into a season just yet, and it's an idea that I'm debating kind of like a wild card change of car for a race idea. It'd be something that they could only use once a season, but I don't know. I'll contemplate the idea, maybe ask a few of the drivers, because at the end of the day, it's all about the drivers racing. I don't want to do something that will upset everyone, although if it's for the best, then I would, obviously. If it's like, I don't know, I can't think of anything, but if drivers aren't happy with it, but it's for the I'm going off on one that would just, I'll be here for hours speaking about it. At the end of the day, I'll ask the drivers what they want. I don't, I wouldn't make a calendar and then everyone doesn't like it. I'd ask the drivers, what cars do you want to drive? What tracks might you want to be on the calendar? How long do you want these races to be? That sort of stuff, which is what I've been doing since I came to power. That sounds like a really bad way of saying it, but yeah, that's I think people who have not seen this season before, this could be your first race watching at home, and you're thinking, oh my god, what's this guy talking about, being into power? It's going to sound really bad, but for those who haven't, I've got off on one once again. I keep doing this. But basically, I've been a commentator and a driver. I do a lot of stuff. I'm currently in 7th place at the minute. I do a lot. I do a lot. As we start lap 16 of 28. The drivers now make their way down towards turn 1 once again. Darren Schneider trying to go for a move on the inside of Tim. The two Mercedes going side by side, but can he get his one ahead? He's left his front bumper in at the apex. Tim leaves him the room but goes wide and carries more speed on the exit of the corner to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Toussaint now going side by side with the DWT Mercedes and gets up into 3rd place. A little kink of turn 2 up the hill in towards turn 3. It's a beautiful camera shot of all the cars making their way up the hill. The top 7 still closely separated by about 3 seconds to one another. And I forgot to say it, I've missed it because I was on a rant about what was I on about? Car choices and all that. Someone's comment really put me off. No, that's a joke. But feel free to comment, ask any questions you want. If this is your first time tuning in and you want to ask questions about Season 2 potentially, then feel free to send them in the chat. But something I forgot to spectate, because obviously we raced this race on the Friday, then we're live streaming this on the Saturday from the race replay. Running in 7th place is myself, and I forgot to show the crash I had with Bod Evil down in towards the left-hander of turn 8 and 9. I won't talk about it because I was involved in the crash. Obviously, being involved in an incident, you're not going to put the blame on yourself. I could show it and go back a lap, but that would involve messing up the stream, and then we'd have to go back to this lap, and I'd get annoyed because I would have to do stuff. I just want to sit here and talk to you guys, which is what I do once a week for the past 2 years. Since we've done Season 1, I've been in this seat, well not this seat specifically, but this position, you know what I mean, since Season 1 2020, and I've been going through all the seasons, rewatching them again. Thought Ty was going to come into the pits there for a second. And things have changed. My commentary's got so much better, I realise. That's not even me promoting it, but hey-ho, we moved. Meanwhile, Tiger now leads this race ahead of Toussaint in 2nd. Doing a great job so far, thank you. Don't worry, we'll get through this, guys. We'll get through this. I've been doing it for 2 years, so I don't really know what to say. To be honest, I never know what to say. I kind of just talk. I just say what I see. It's kind of like that show Catchphrase, if you see it. I just say what I see, and that's all. How much times have changed from Season 1. Before I was a little bit boring, to be perfectly honest, as Bonnie now goes for it on Piero to the inside, promotes his way up in towards 5th place, now can challenge the top 4 after fuel saving for the first 16 laps of the race, because he's got a lot more fuel than the cars around him. Just hanging in at the back for now, can really promote himself a lot higher in the pit stop phase. For new drivers, for new viewers, it's impossible for new drivers to be watching this race because there are no new drivers on the grid. For new viewers who are unfamiliar with this season, I mentioned it at the start of the race as well. We've got tyre wear now on ×5 after the recent patch changing the tyre wear. fuel consumption on ×2. I haven't really gone through the rules and regulations actually, so I should probably do that. So you're aware of the strategy. As Finn now goes down the inside of Natty and gets his Mustang up into 7th place. But drivers have to make at least one pit stop during every race and use 2 different tyre compounds, otherwise they will be slapped in the face with a fish. That fish comes served fresh with a 1-minute penalty. No fish are harmed in the making of this season. So yeah, drivers have to use 2 different tyre compounds during a race. Last week in Dragon Trail, we saw a 3-stop race. It looks like drivers into the pits. Natty and Finn pull into the pits from the softs and medium tyres, respectively. Look at that, 20 litres of fuel in the BMW, saving so much fuel in the first half of the race. Pulling the pin early, calling the undercut. Will the 6 drivers that have stayed out react to this lap? You really don't want to be hung out to dry as the pink Mercedes sends one to the inside of Bon Evil, who's going to try and actually work his way round the outside at turn 1. Can he pull this one off? Not on this occasion, but he's still on there on the inside. Well, I said he couldn't do it. Indeed, he has done it. Up into 4th place. Pierre in the chat saying he didn't realise how close Finn came back on us. Indeed, he was right on the back of you guys going in towards the final corner on lap 17. The problem with his strategy, though, is he's on a 2-stop. And he ran out of fuel at the end of his stint, but you can see everyone else still has a bit of fuel in. I don't really know where it went wrong for Finn. Well, that's not what you want to be saying. That can be taken out of context if your mind goes that way. But it is the BCR Mercedes that lead the way. Tim in the top 3. It's still a Mercedes 1, 2, 3. I don't think any other car, apart from Finn's Mustang at the early phase of the race, has been inside the top 3. It has been dominated by the Germans, which is not something that can be said in the past. Apologies if that has offended anyone, but we're going for some Top Gear / the Grand Tour level of humour for this race. That could get me cancelled if I said that in a different stream, but technically I was on about the GT series. We've never had a Mercedes. Well, no, we have had a Mercedes win a champion yet. Although in my defence, Toussaint didn't win a race in the season he won, so we haven't had a German-dominated season. So my point stands. Anyway, let's move on from German domination, as it looks like the German cars are going to be into the pits, as well as the Japanese and the British. Definitely not their nationalities. We've got British, Finnish, French, Dutch, German. No Japanese drivers on this grid, but Japanese manufacturers in the pits, on the grid. Now in the pits, the Mercedes, everyone, look at the fuel, 2, 4, 9, 15, 12, remember Natty only had 20 litres, he had so much fuel in the car. And here he comes at full speed, down the start-finish straight, a lonely BMW. Marcus Armstrong, the GOAT in Formula 2, could be off to IndyCar, but we're not here to talk about F2 drivers. Look at the cars coming out of the pits. He was in 8th place on lap 17. He's up into 6th, 4th, 5th, 3rd. He's gone past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and takes the lead of the race for the first time this season. The best Premier Series champion, your 2-time Weekend League champion, your 1-time GT7 mini-season champion and 4-time commentator of the year gets up into the lead of the race, and this is a moment that we should all respect and remember for history to come. I think we should red flag the race. There we go. We can press pause in the recording and finish the race here. Although it doesn't get much better because, well, you're about to see why. But here comes X-Natty G, as Piero says rightly in the chat. It is an entertaining race, and, well, a little bit of bias to myself, who takes the lead of the race. A beautifully designed BMW M6, designed by yours truly, but we're not here to gloat on the liveries. Actually, we can speak about liveries, because we do have a lot of really nice liveries that the drivers have designed. And Toussaint in the chat saying, let's brush over that, because Bonnie will now take 2nd place in the race after Tim's made a mistake in 9th place. We'll brush over Toussaint's lies in the comments as Bonnie will now gets up into 2nd place ahead of Tim. Toussaint now down to 4th place, who's not leading this race, but someone is leading this race, but we won't gloss over that. Pierre now to 5th place, Dan and Tiger down to 6th and 7th. How the pit stops have changed so much in this race. X-Natty G leads the field by about 2 seconds. Bon Evil in 2nd place, Tim in 3rd, Toussaint in 4th, Pierre 5th, Dan Snyder 6th, Tiger 7th, Finn in 8th, Wolfie in 9th, and Ted still in the pits in 10th place. Looks like he's probably retiring from this race, although he does get back out today. So he's just having a nap, a quick break. Still actually has the fastest lap of the race and would get an extra point if he can keep it by the end of the race. He's done his bit, he's gone fastest and everyone else is now going to retire and have a happy life in the pit lane. Here goes Toussaint going for a move on Tim to the inside of turn 1. The doors left wide open for the Mercedes to sneak through. A beautifully designed special livery for this race in Japan by Toussaint. His teammate Tiger running a similar livery as well, and his Mercedes AMG as they go up the hill in towards turn 3. The cars, a beautiful camera shot actually of the cars going up the hill. But this is where it all goes downhill from here, because you can see, look at the bottom left, look at the fuel in the BMW, and look at that of Sarge in the Genesis. A little mistake on my behalf meant I underfueled by a lap. I done 28 minus 18 add 2 rather than 28 minus 17 lap add 2, because I pitted on lap 17. But like I said earlier, the pit lane is after the start finish straight. I saw 18, so the maths doesn't add up. Everyone else though is good because they're not bad. I am. Toussaint now to the inside of Tim going in towards the final corner. Contact. Bonnie was almost in the wall. Three wide. Bonnie, does he have damage? He doesn't have damage, but it was a pretty hefty whack into the wall. Toussaint is now getting 2 positions in 2 corners and is up into second place. And viewers, close your eyes, look away from the screen, turn the volume down if you have to, because this is honestly the most disgusting thing that I have ever seen in my life. I think it's this lap anyway, and if it's not this lap, then you can turn your eyes back on and keep watching. I think it is this lap, but I'm not too sure. Dust being kicked up from the back of the pack as the train is en route for turn 1. We've still got 8 laps to go in this race, and it's the BMW that leads the field away from the Mercedes. The first time that two Mercedes have not been inside the top 3. It's only Toussaint in the top 3 from the Mercedes, who's trying to go for it on the outside. They're 2 by 2 with Bonnie on the inside of Tim. Can he try and make it work on Toussaint as well? It's been forced to the outside line, and a little bit of contact between the 2 drivers. Now in towards the little kink at turn 2. Side by side between Bonnie and Bonnie and Toussaint. Up the hill they go. A little bit more contact as wheel banging ensues behind. As almost a safety car effectively is leading this pack. That's how slow I'm going with the fuel in my fuel saving mode. Everyone else pushing because they're confident enough to put enough fuel in the car. I shouldn't be having to go at myself. I am doing the commentary. I could just give myself bonus points because I am the admin, but I won't do that because I'm not Michael Massey. But anyway, Tim in 4th place, ahead of Dan Schneider in 5th, Pierre in 6th, and Tiger down to 7th place. It looks like he's got fuel issues as well. He's dropped off the chasing pack that is now the top 6. What started as the top 10 now is the top 6 in this train, and 3 cars, are the Mercedes. 3 German manufacturers, 1 British, 5. No. I'm never mind. Oh no, it is this lap. Sorry, it wasn't the last lap. You can turn your eyes on temporarily if you've had your eyes off. You can turn them back on, because I think this is where it's the most disgusting thing you're ever going to see. Bonnie pulls over to the left-hand side of the circuit. Now I drop down into second place, try to get back in the slipstream, but Bonnie rudely pulls over to the left-hand side and gives Toussaint a tow. Toussaint now goes up into second place, and that's he goes from first to third, and we're not even halfway down the start-finish straight. Let's ride on board with Dan Schneider, who's in the slipstream of the BMW. Is he going to give me a push and help me to go in towards turn 1? No, he's not. He's going to pull over to the left-hand side. What about Tim? Teammates in the bars. Is he going to give me a boost going in towards turn 1, or am I going to get left out to dry once again? No, he's going to give me a little bit of a push, but we've gone from first to 4th, and we're not even down in towards turn 1 yet. We can now stop riding on board with Tim because we might have a chance for the lead going in towards turn 1. X90G to the inside, possibly of Dan Strider, 3 wide between themselves and Tim. The 2 Mercedes going side by Tim swooping around the outside of the BMW from first to 5th. Only one driver, only a goat, can manage to pull that off. Is it going to be from first to 6th in technically 2 corners? It is. Get in there lads. First to 6th in 2 corners. You can turn your eyes back on because that was disgusting. And that is how much the slipstream can cost you if you don't get helped by the drivers around, which is why you don't create enemies. And I think the reason why I had no friends in this race is because I put Autopolis and Sonkwab together back to back on the season 5 calendar from GT Sport. Literally the last season, technically, of GT racing in this league. On top of this in Saint-Croix, back to back, and a particular person, currently second place in this race, wasn't happy with me. Probably why he didn't help me towards turn 1. So, oops, I've done something. Let me not do that. But no, that is just how much you can be left out to dry. Back to the racing, I got a bit excited there. Got quite excited, actually. Not gonna lie. Commentating, that is. I didn't get excited being overtaken left, right and centre. Unless the race is to finish last, then I would get quite excited if I was being overtaken. But the race isn't to finish last, it's to finish first. And if you finish first, you get 30 points behind. And so you get 30 points at the end of the race. And if you finish first, it means you've got everyone else behind you. That's some knowledge that not many people know about. So yeah, there we go. That's your fact of the day. Toussaint now with the slipstream and the speed going towards turn 1. Might try and swoop one around the outside of the Genesis. Can he make this one work? Not on this occasion. Bonnieville has him covered and maintains the lead of the race. But he's got a couple of quick drivers and a couple of quick cars very close behind him. The wind speed is no longer a direct tailwind going towards turn 1. It technically still is a tailwind, but it won't be as effective. Facing the northwest. Yes, Pierre, the Will Buxton facts. That's, I think I might make it a new thing, giving you guys a fact of, like just a general fact. Like if you're, I don't know, I can't think of one now, but let's gloss over that and get back to the action, because I don't want to have another Lago Maggiore moment where I sat there for 10 minutes thinking of an analogy. Yeah, that wasn't a great race. I don't know if I should say this on stream, but that was probably the worst commentary, and I can only apologise to you guys watching. Sometimes you can say that I was cut through like a hot knife through butter, going from the top to the bottom in a matter of seconds. See, things like that can work, and I came up with that pretty quickly. But in Lago Maggiore, I had nothing for the whole race. I couldn't think of anything to say. But it doesn't matter, because we're not at Lago Maggiore, and we're not at round 3. We're at round number 8 of season 1 of GT7. We started Gran Turismo back in 2020, and we've all evolved since then. We've evolved as drivers, commentators, friends and rivals on and off the track. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically we've built up this community, and it's a really... if you're not in the community already, you should definitely join, because Darren Schneider is going for it on Bonnieville. Toussaint might try and go for it on both of them. He just backs off, lifts off in the end. Darren Schneider might try and go round the outside of Bonnieville. Can Toussaint try and follow Bonnie's Genesis through turn 1? Not on this occasion. Dan gets himself up into second place ahead of Toussaint. He drops down in towards third place. We've got 5 laps to go here at Tokyo Expressway. So far, it's a good race in terms of the championship for the current championship leader, Toussaint, a one-time GT champion, winning the first season on GT Sport. He's ahead of all of his rivals that are competing for the Drivers' Championship. His closest rival, Finn, down in 8th place, pushing on a set of the soft compound tyres. His next closest rival, Tim, is in 4th place, a position behind, so will still be gaining on the cars around him. And if Bonnieville wants any hope of winning this championship, then he needs to win this race. It is a must win for him. But he's under pressure from Dan Schneider, who now takes the lead of the race. Toussaint might try and follow him through at the inside of the final corner, side by side between the Mercedes and the Genesis. Contact as Bonnie's in the wall. Bonnieville in the wall. Contact between him and Toussaint, who now takes second place in the race. He's got his windscreen wipers on, but I can assure you there is no rain coming in this race. Bonnie with bad damage to the bumper in front right suspension, who could be under pressure from Tim, unless Tim gives him a little bit of a back draft in the run down towards turn 1. Piero just dropping off back of this train for now. We've got fuel problems at the back for Tiger and X90G. Big fuel problems for a lot of the drivers who miscalculated during the pit stops. And there was a weird thing, a lot of drivers miscalculated. Fuel consumption appeared to be higher than expected, at this circuit. They said if they put 10 laps of fuel and they underfueled by a lap or something. Dan, defensive in towards turn 1, Bonnie to the inside of Toussaint, contact, a lot of pushing and shoving to the inside of turn 1, no love lost from the previous 50 seconds of the action at the final corner as Bonnie will now force his way up into second place and back ahead of the red, white and black Mercedes car, going up the hill in towards turn 3. Dan Schneider to the inside, defensive to Bonnie, who's trying to swoop on around the outside, the inside for turn 4, who now takes the lead of the race. Once again, we're getting very close to the end of the race where time is running out. Positions are starting to be made. Dan now side by side with the Genesis. Toussaint wheel to wheel with the Dutch driver, side by side. They keep it quick and clean through the middle sector. Toussaint now up into second place. Dan drops in towards third, down to third, and there's under pressure from Tim, who had a look to the inside at turn 8. The right hander now of turn 9, a really fast flowing left-right chicane. Essentially, Bon Evil now with the lead of the race ahead of Toussaint and Dan are your new top 3 in that particular order. It's the Genesis ahead of the 3 Mercedes behind the pursuit. Piero saving fuel behind them for 5th place, just trying to keep onto the back of the train in front. Tiger, Natty in 6th and 7th respectively, both saving fuel to try and make it to the end of the race. We've only got 3 laps to go when we finish this one, and the lap times are starting to improve. You can see Dan Schneider a few laps to go with a 1:53.9. With lap 25 at 28. Who? Let me know in the comments, guys. If you weren't in this race or haven't seen the result, let me know who you think will take the win. Who will be the first driver to cross the checkered flag? Obviously, if you're a driver watching this back, you'll know who's won. I'm not going to spoil it, and please don't spoil it in the chat either. Let's keep it fresh for all those new viewers who are tuning in for the first time, haven't seen the result of the race. Bonnie, Toussaint, Dan, Tim, or even Piero. Which one of those 5 drivers could win? Are going to win this race? Bonnie either defensive, Dan Schneider trying to work his way around the outside. Toussaint keeps his car in the middle of the circuit, trying to see where he can position his Mercedes. And he's positioned his Mercedes not in a great position because Tim's found himself move round the outside of turn 2, the inside for 1. 2 by 2 up the hill in towards turn turn 2 and 3. We've got the vote for Dan Schneider in the chat. Who now takes the lead of the race ahead of Bon Evil, the Dutch driver, up into the lead. He's had only a couple of races. He joined us in Deep Forest Raceway, I believe. No, he's doing this in Trial Mountain. He won the last race in Dragon Trail Seaside. If you haven't watched that race, I highly recommend you go and watch it. Actually, I highly recommend you go and watch every race this season and all the seasons in the past. Season 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 of GT Sport, and we're just starting our GT7 career here. We've had a few mini seasons to kick things off. We've had a few one-off events, and now the main season is well and truly underway. Round 8 of number 11. We've only got 3 to go after this one. Points are crucial as the championship is still really close and contested between 3 or 4 drivers. Toussaint, though, with the advantage ahead of his closest rivals, Tim and Finn, who are in 4th and 8th respectively. The British driver running in 3rd place as things stand, but there's still plenty of time. Well, I say plenty of time. There's 2 laps to go after this one. But it's not difficult to make a move, especially in towards turn 1, if you play your cards right and position yourself perfectly. And I do mean perfectly. You can see a little bit of clouds forming above the circuit. There is a possibility of rain in this race. Tokyo Expressway, one of the few tracks where rain is possible, but I'm not sure we're going to get any. That would affect the outcome of the race. With only 2 laps to go, Dan Schneider starts the penultimate lap of the race in the lead, with the soft tyres starting to wear. Rear grip is it will become an issue. Bon Evil now to the outside of Dan Schneider, who defends the inside line, going in towards turn 1, forces Bonnie a little bit wide, takes a wide line, allows Toussaint to go to the inside, and gets ahead of the Genesis up into 2nd place. Dan Schneider kind of with a beautiful defence if he wanted to get Bon Evil out of the way. But Toussaint now gets up into 2nd place and takes advantage of the squabbling up in front. Saw an open door and walked right through it on the inside at turn 1. Careful not to hit the barrels as they will make your car come to a standstill. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in and stayed with us for the final few laps of this race. The lap times, I don't think they're going to get any quicker. I think Dan's point for fastest lap might be safe and secure in the bag with the tyre wear kicking in, but the fuel load is low. The red light flashing on a lot of the cars often means they've got about 2 laps of fuel left in the race. But with only 2 laps to go, the top 4 should be safe. Pierre as well, but issues for Tiger and Natty, who are running very low on fuel towards the end of the race. It's a realistic fight between the top 4 drivers in this race. We've only got 13 corners to go after these two. 2 corners round the final corner for the penultimate time in this race. Dan, Toussaint, Bon Evil and Tim. Pierre is still within this fight. If there's a crash up in front, you can ride on board with the McLaren to see the cars that are in front. A rear shot from the Mercedes of Dan Schneider. You can see the cars challenging him in the run down towards turn 1. The overspeed from the Mercedes behind. Who's going to go for it? When are they going to go for it? And who's going to try and capitalise on any mistakes and opportunities that might come their way? We start the final lap of the race here at Tokyo Expressway, the Japanese Grand Prix, and it hasn't disappointed us for the previous 27. Let's hope the 28 lap 28 is a good one. The wind speed is picked up to 2.6 meters per second for the finale, the final lap of round 8, where points are crucial. Dan goes to Renzo. Bon Evil launches one to the inside. He's late on the brakes. He gives Dan a nudge. Who goes deep? Down Toussaint goes for it on the inside. Gets ahead of both Bonnie and Dan. Contact as they go 2 by 2. Bonnie now down to second. Dan in towards third after getting punted at turn 1 by Bon Evil on the last lap of the race. Tim staying patient for now in 4th place behind the 3 cars in front. Just missing out on the podium as things stand. Contact between the 2 teammates at the back. Fighting for 9th place. Ted and Wolfie as Ted hits the wall. But back up to the battle for the lead of the race between Dan, Toussaint, Bonnie and Tim. Who will come out on this race on top, as it looks like the squabbling at the back has seemed to have settled itself as they make their way in towards turn 1 for the final time this race. Toussaint just brushes the wall slightly on the outside. Dan doing the same thing. He might cost himself a position to Tim, who goes swooping around the outside of turn 8. Dan Schneider started this final lap in the lead of the race. He's now down into 4th place. Toussaint, Bon Evil, Tim, the top 3 in this race. Drivers who are looking to finish on the podium. Dan Schneider looks like he's got damage after hitting the outside barrier of turn 7. His fight for the lead is over. Unfortunately for him, it's all falling apart on the final lap of the race with 2 corners to go. The final corner. Toussaint rounds the final corner in the lead of the race, but can he finish this race in the lead of the race for Bon Evil and Tim in 2nd and 3rd? He weaves over to the right. He weaves back over to the left in his best attempt to break the slipstream. He's going left and right, left and right like a snake, you could say, doing his best to secure victory at the end of this race. He's got the chasing pack of Bon Evil and Tim. It's a drag race to the line. Who's going to claim it? 3 wide up to the line. Toussaint wins by 0.01 seconds to Bon Evil. Tim in 3rd place, just missing out on 2nd and the win. But it is Toussaint who claims victory here at Tokyo. Dan Schneider in 4th place. It all crumbled like a cookie for him on the final lap. Pierre in 5th. Finn in 6th place. Drivers running out of fuel. Natty weaving across the line. When the run up to the line, he ran out of fuel at the end of the race. Wolfie getting ahead of Tiger Assassin, who cruises down the second half of the lap with doing 50 miles per hour. He unfortunately ran out of fuel at the end of the race. Wolfie in the Ford GT makes his way up to the line to finish in 8th place. Tiger in 9th, unfortunate for him. It looked like a promising race for him in the first half of the race. It's slow up to the line for the BMW, who waves to the marshal, waving the checkered flag in his brown suit. And up to the line for the BMW. The Subaru of Ted in 10th, Wolfie in 8th, Tiger Assassin. This pretty much sums up his season, unfortunately for him. It's been a tough season for Tiger Assassin so far. He's only finished on the podium once, and from previous seasons, he's been up there fighting for the championship. It's not a sight we want to see, but it's a sight we're going to watch to the end. So unfortunate for him running out of fuel at the end. We will be respectful. We will wait for him to cross the line before we look back at the leaders. Oh dear, that was not good. That was not good. That is definitely going to get reclipped and saved and probably sent to me as well. But 3, 2, 1 and across the line. And let's stop that. But let's just, I shouldn't have done that, because we can go back actually and get another look at the photo finish. Huge congratulations to Toussaint at the end of that race. Look at this, up to the line. And, well, it doesn't get much closer than that. If anything, I've stopped that perfectly. I'm not going to get better if I tried doing it slowly. Let's do this, and then we can do the outro. But Toussaint takes the win of this race, followed by Bonneville in second and Tim in third. And that is how close it was at the end. I haven't got the best angle there. Let's move back slightly. There we go. But there are your top three right there, crossing the line, separated by 0.02 of a second. If only Toussaint could move over a little bit to the left, and it would have been perfect. But it's not the first time we've had this. It's like the scene from Cars. Lightning McQueen in the middle, and the King and Chick Hicks either side. I said the same analogy in Spa when Finn got a puncture on the last lap. Take them out, say who you want for the King, Chick Hicks and Lightning McQueen. But there you have it. Round 8 of 11, and Toussaint takes the victory. Again, the driver who started on pole position has not finished. No, wait, who started on pole? Tim. The driver who started on pole didn't finish the race in the lead. Although, having said that I forgot that rule. That had that changed in Dragon Trail. For those who are unfamiliar, for the first 7 races of this season, the driver who started on pole, didn't finish on the podium that race. That was broken last week by Darren Schneider, who started on pole and then won the race. Closest finish. I've taken a better photo of this, which I will post in the Discord later. I don't know why it's so bright, this one. I took another one earlier that was... Actually, no, I can go back and save it. I can show you the one I took. But whilst I'm doing that, I think it's time we do the outro. Hello, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in to this race here at not Trail Mountain. Where are we? We are... Oh, there's a little hint into my... There we go. Here it is. That's a better one I took earlier. Thank you everyone who tuned in for this race at Tokyo Expressway. Toussaint extends his championship lead over Tim and Finn in third and second place. Stay tuned next week. Next week for Interlagos, round number 9 out of 11, where the championship can technically now be decided. Toussaint needs to score 30 points more than Finn, and Tim cannot score more than 4, and that's how the championship could be racked up. It's very unlikely, but not impossible. Stay tuned. Points will be crucial in that race, and I think it might get a little bit personal between a couple of the drivers as we round out the end of this season. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, your company is appreciated as always, and I'll see you all next week. I've been X-Strategy, Marcus Armstrong, NDM Game, whatever you want to call me. Goodbye. Just PS, my name's not actually Marcus Armstrong.